The silence in our living room was deafening, save for the heavy breathing of the officers who had just read the third file. Brenda finally broke the quiet. "What does it mean?" she asked, her voice trembling, stripping away the smug veneer she usually wore. "Why are you all looking at me like that? Where am I going?" Chris stepped forward, his face pale and drawn. He looked down at the little girl we had raised, the girl we had poured our hearts into, only to be met with constant, calculated cruelty. "It means," Chris said, his voice thick with a mixture of grief and finality, "that your mom wasn't joking. We adopted you, Brenda. And since you've made it perfectly clear you hate living here, and you've signed the relinquishment forms, you are going back to your biological family." Brenda's eyes darted between Chris and me. "No, I didn't mean it. I was just telling the truth to punish Mom. I don't want to go anywhere." "You wanted the truth, Brenda," I said, my voice eerily calm. I reached into the lockbox, pulled out the third file, and held it out to her. "This is your truth." The lead officer gently placed a hand on Brenda's shoulder. "Little girl, do you know who your biological parents are?" Brenda shook her head, tears welling in her eyes as panic fully set in. The officer sighed heavily, looking at me for permission. I nodded. If she wanted to live her life wielding the truth like a weapon, she needed to know what a real, unfiltered truth looked like. "Your biological father is currently serving a 25-year sentence in a maximum security prison for aggravated assault and armed robbery," the officer said, his voice gentle but firm. "Your biological mother is a known drug addict who has been in and out of the system since before you were born. The reason you ended up with the traffickers 6 years ago is because your mother sold you to them for drug money." The color drained from Brenda's face. She looked like a ghost. She stumbled backward, shaking her head violently. No, you're lying. Good kids tell the truth, and you're lying. It's the truth," I said softly, crouching down to her eye level. I felt a sudden, sharp pang in my chest, the maternal instinct I had nurtured for 6 years fighting against the absolute betrayal I had endured. "We never told you because we wanted you to have a normal life. We wanted you to feel safe, but you used that safety to hurt us, Brenda. Over and over again. I'm sorry." Brenda shrieked, throwing her arms around my neck, her small body trembling violently. "I'm sorry, Mom. I won't tell the truth anymore. I promise. Please don't send me away. I don't want to go to a drug lady. I don't want to." I closed my eyes, the tears I had been fighting finally slipping down my cheeks. For a fleeting second, the image of a bright-eyed toddler reaching for me 6 years ago flashed in my mind. I hugged her back, just for a moment, letting myself grieve the daughter I thought I had. But then, I remembered the malicious gleam in her eyes when she told my mother-in-law I deserved to be yelled at. I remembered her clapping and cheering when she told Chris I should be put in the ground. I remembered the triumphant smirk she wore when the police kicked in my door tonight. I gently peeled her arms off my neck and stood up. "It's too late, Brenda," I whispered. "Mr. and Mrs. Davis," the lead officer said, clearing his throat awkwardly. "Since the relinquishment forms are signed, and given the nature of her biological family's situation, she will be placed into the custody of Child Protective Services immediately. They will determine her placement, likely in a state-run foster facility until a suitable relative, if any, can be found." Chris wrapped an arm around my shoulders, pulling me into his side. "We understand, officer. Do what you have to do." A female officer stepped forward, gently taking Brenda's hand. "Come on, sweetie. Let's go gather some of your things." Brenda fought back, thrashing and screaming, her wails echoing off the walls of our home. Dad, please, make her stop. I love you. I love Mom. I was just joking." Chris looked away, his jaw clenched so tight I thought it might shatter. He didn't speak. He couldn't. I watched as the female officer practically carried a hysterical Brenda into her bedroom to pack a bag. The sound of her crying was agonizing, tearing at the very fabric of my soul. I had protected this child from monsters, only to realize I had brought a different kind of monster into my home. 10 minutes later, the